This episode of That's What G Said podcast is brought to you by cindycarava.com. Visit cindycarava.com for all of your real estate needs. And sarahcandles.com. Use the promo code GINO at the website sarahcandles.com and get 10% off your entire purchase. So hear more about those sponsors later on That's What G Said. This episode, we're going to touch quickly on the NBA, some of the major stories bouncing around the league. We'll go through NFL Week 12, preview the games, and give you our best bets for the week, and some Del Mar Sunday, a couple best plays for Del Mar Sunday. We're going to talk a little bit about the TV show on Apple Plus, The Morning Show, and we'll close out with the WWE Survivor Series quick preview. Let's get right on into That's What G Said. Recording this one late night, Friday, November the 22nd into Saturday, November the 23rd. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in to another episode of That's What G Said podcast. We're going to do our best to get through this episode quickly. I always say that, but we just end up getting into so many different topics. Generally doesn't work out that way, but let's jump right into the NBA. And it's another good night for both of the LA teams. You got to start at the top with the Lakers, who have the best record in the NBA right now, 13-2. They've had a pretty soft schedule as of late, but they're starting a 4-game road trip. They were able to get a victory over OKC on a back-to-back. And some of the numbers that I'm going to, as far as the points and assists, some of the numbers might not be up to date if there was a Friday game for some of these teams because they haven't quite re-updated yet. But I mean, you're having LeBron average over 11 assists a game. Davis is over 25 points, 9 rebounds, over about a steal and a half, and over 3 blocks. And you're getting, good minutes from, if you combine Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee, you put the two of them into just, their per 36 minutes, you're getting just under 14 points a game, over 13 and a half rebounds a game, couple assists, a steal, and 3 blocks. That's all you could ask for. And then they're getting great contributions from the role players. It was Avery Bradley was playing well for a while. He's been banged up. Then it was Danny Green has his games where he kind of picks and chooses his spots. And you just see Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who, he gets ripped quite a bit, and he was very bad to start the season. He's actually had a pretty good last few games. So he's been playing pretty well. Caruso's coming in, playing some good minutes on defense. So key for them, for the Lakers, will be getting into December once the schedule gets a little tougher. The schedule for the Lakers and the Clippers is going to get tough in December, and then it'll kind of soften up a little bit after the new year. And the Clippers have looked really good when they've had a full team. We've seen in the last couple of games, they were able to squeak out a couple wins where they didn't even really look that good. These are 2 wins that they've had in the last couple of games, first against Boston and then against Houston, where these are 2 wins that could be huge at the end of the season as far as where the Clippers are going to fall in the pecking order for the playoffs. I know they're not quite worried about a lot of these early season wins, but at the end of the year, when you're trying to get yourself just an easier spot, or not having to face as tough of teams, or maybe go on the road as many times, I'm sure they, like any team, would like to have just a better setup. But with Kawhi, with PG, I mean, if what we saw in the Boston game from the Clippers, if they're getting anything on the offensive end from Pat Beverly, they're going to be really tough. I think they could, every team. The Lakers obviously have some weaknesses, right? I think the Lakers probably need, especially not right now with Avery Bradley out, they might need a little help from another guard, and they probably need some wing depth, whether it be in a buyout or a trade. They probably don't have a lot to trade, but maybe some kind of a buyout. The rumors are obviously Andre Iguodala. I would love to see that happen for the Lakers, but I don't envision the rest of the league making it easy and just saying, "Oh, here you go, Lakers, you get Iguodala." The Clippers, it's kind of funny because if you look at the Clippers and the Lakers, the Lakers could really use a guy like a Mo Harkless, even just another wing, someone to help defend wings, and just another wing type player. And the Clippers could really use another big man, just like a backup big man someone to help play some defense if the Clippers were to run into the Lakers in a series, or a team like, the 76ers in the series, just a team that has the option to go big. That's where the Clippers could get hurt. And vice versa for the Lakers, where they could get hurt is if teams try to go really small on them. If you have AD as the 5, that's fine. You have LeBron in the mix there too. But do you have enough wings to guard a team like the Clippers if they're going to roll out, a PG and a Kawhi lineup, and they could have a lot of options there. So it's funny, they just seem like that's why that if we get to get a Clipper-Lakers series, it would be fun, because it'd be quite a chess match between the two of them. In my opinion, these are the two best teams in basketball, and I think in the East, I want to see a little bit more from Philly. I think Philly and Milwaukee are still the two for me. As far as the East is concerned, Milwaukee's quietly 12-3, and Giannis is averaging over 30, 14 rebounds, 6.5 assists plus, over a steal and a half, and just under a block and a half. Have to mention Luka Doncic and how good he's been. The Mavs are 10-5. Luka's almost at 30 points a game, over 10.5 rebounds, over 9 assists, and 1.4 steals. He's in the MVP conversation, triple-doubling it up. Seems like night in and night out, basically averaging a triple-double here. Toronto playing really well. Siakam's taking that next step, continues to impress. 25-plus points a game, 8-plus rebounds, 4 assists. How about Van Fleet, who's up to 17-plus points and 7.5 assists and just under 2 steals a game? And they're not even getting good minutes from Gasol. Ibaka's been hurt. Lowry's been hurt. This is a really deep, good Toronto team who beat the Lakers on the road, and they're going to be a very tough out in the East playoffs. The Heat, very well coached Heat team that is just a well-run organization. You have Butler and then a lot of youngsters there with Nuns playing well, Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, and Spoelstra just continues to do a great job with the Heat. Boston's not far off. They're 11-4. They had a couple tough losses out west recently. They have Gordon Hayward out, and they had a little bit of a scare with Kemba on Friday night. It looked like looked like to be a neck head injury. I don't want to say just a concussion, but I don't think it was quite as bad as it initially looked. Warriors have just been decimated by injury. They're the worst team in the league right now. They're 3-14. And the question we have, the Spurs, are they done? When you looked in the Western Conference and you were kind of mapping out the playoffs this year, a lot of people thought the West was going to be really, really tough and really, really deep. And the reason why is because everybody, including me, we all looked at the Warriors team and figured they would be a playoff team at least, even without KD. You still have Curry, and they brought in D'Angelo and Draymond Green. People assume they would at least be in the playoff mix. The Spurs have lost 8 in a row. They're now 5-11. They have a terrible defense. Are they done? And Portland, they're 5-11. They've played the last couple games without Lillard. They picked up Carmelo, who's played a couple games. He scored a 10 and 18 in his 2. They got to be careful before. I know it's still early. We're only talking about 15 games, 16 games for a lot of these teams. But you don't want to get too far back. And so I think you look at those teams who haven't quite been playing as well. And then a couple teams that have started to play well after some slow starts. Pelicans and Brandon Ingram. Unfortunately, people have said, "Oh, Brandon Ingram. This wasn't the Brandon Ingram on the Lakers." Well, yeah, it was the Brandon Ingram on the Lakers. A lot of people just hate the Lakers, don't watch, and don't really pay attention to how good these players are when they're on the Lakers, and they leave, and all of a sudden they become the greatest. It's happened with D'Angelo. It's happened with Julius Randle. And now it's happening with with Ingram and Josh Hart. Ingram's pre-Laker, or Ingram's pre-Pelican, end of the Laker run. This is from Mike Trudell. After the All-Star break last year, it was just a 6-game sample, not huge, but he was taking the next step. 27.8 points per game, 7.5 rebounds per game, 2.5 assists. Ingram this season in 11 games, 25.6 points per game, 7.4 rebounds, 4.1. He started being aggressive, playing his own game last February. Then he got hurt, healthy again. This is not a surprise. We all expected this as Laker fans. Brandon Ingram was very good. He took the next step. Those who said he wasn't were probably just not quite paying attention to the Laker games. And Sacramento's playing well. And, Sacramento started 0-5. Since then, they've been 6-2. They have wins over Utah and New York. They lost at Toronto by 4, and they lost to the Lakers by 2. They beat Atlanta. They beat Portland. They beat Boston. They beat Phoenix. They are 4th in the NBA in three-point percentage. Buddy Hield, Bogdanovic, Bielitsa, and Barnes are all shooting over 37%. They're feisty, and maybe Luke Walton's figuring them out. On to the NFL. So Week 11, there weren't a lot of good games in Week 11. We saw a lot of blowouts. That Browns fiasco, too, with Myles Garrett. That topic's been discussed quite a bit. But the Browns beat up the Steelers. Cowboys-Lions game was sort of tight late. Lions had a shot. It felt like the Cowboys were always in control for the most part there. The Colts beat up the Jags. The Bills beat up the Dolphins. The Vikings were down by 20 points at halftime, and it was the last 99 teams to be down 20-plus points at halftime have lost over the last 5 years. So now teams that have been down at halftime by 90, teams that have been down at halftime by 20-plus points are 1-99. 1-99. Because the Vikings came back and beat the Broncos. Saints beat up the Bucks, Jets beat up the Redskins, Falcons beat up the Panthers, Ravens crushed the Texans, 49ers with a unbelievable late comeback to win by 10. They didn't look 49ers like throughout most of their game, and they got a tough one coming up this week. The Raiders had to squeak by the Bengals, the Patriots came back to beat the Eagles, the Rams and the Bears played in an ugly one, and the Chargers, like they somehow do, they found a way to lose. The Chargers have had 7 losses this year by 7 points or less. This is the first time since 2015 a team has lost 7 of its first 11 by 7 points or less. 4 Phillip Rivers interceptions. The Chargers had more first downs, total plays, total yards, yards per play, time of possession. Rivers cost them the game in their loss. So before we get into this week's NFL plays, let's go back. Last time that we talked was week 10. Didn't have any plays last week. Didn't do a show last week. Heading into week 10, we were 29-25 overall. We had 7 plays that week. We went 5-2. Tennessee plus 6.5 against Kansas City was a win. Bears minus 2.5 against the Lions was a win. Browns minus 2.5 against the Bills was a win. Packers minus 5 against the Panthers was a win. Seattle plus 6.5 against San Fran was a win. 2 losses were the Rams minus 3.5 at Pitt and Tampa minus 4.5 against the Cards. Now 34-27 heading into this week's plays. Before we get into these specific plays, I want to let you know about one of the sponsors of That's What She Said podcast. And this one, if you go right now, download the Thrive Fantasy app. It's an app that's a daily fantasy app, but the daily fantasy is not like your normal salary cap. It's based around prop bets. So if you like to bet and you're always interested in looking at props, this app is for you. I can give you a little bonus right now. If you go and you download the app, you deposit $10, you'll get a $10 bonus credit, but you have to use the promo code GINO, G-I-N-O. So you put in $10, you'll end up with 20. I get a little piece of that. Anytime you deposit and you use the promo code GINO, when you get that bonus, I get a little chunk too. So you'll get $10 right back. I get a little share of the pie. Check out thrivefantasy.com or go download the app, Thrive Fantasy app. If you have any questions, let me know. NFL Week 12. Buffalo minus 4 against Denver. Denver just had some brutal losses. Over-under in this game is 37. They've had some tough losses this year. I don't like the fact that this has moved down a little bit the Denver way. The money is on the Denver side. Buffalo is not that great. They have a good defense. I'm leaning Denver in here. It's not. I'm going to have 6 games this week that I'm going to play. There were 2 that I looked at. Denver, if you can get over plus 3.5, I'm okay with it, but I'm not going to make it one of my plays this week. Atlanta minus the 4 against Tampa. Over-under in this game is 51.5. Kind of feel the same in this one. I'll make Tampa plus 4. I'll be okay with that one. Not going to make it one of my official plays in this one, though. Atlanta's actually played pretty well as of late. This is the kind of the spot that I like Tampa in, though, when they're not a favorite. We've played Tampa. They're just tough to trust as a chalk with Jameis, but as an underdog, they're capable of kind of going in and competing and beating anyone with their offense. So I would lean Tampa on this one. First play is going to be Philadelphia minus 1 against Seattle. Seattle coming off the win against San Fran a couple weeks back. Big win for them. And I think Seattle is not quite as good as a team as they look and as their record would suggest. It's a lot of Russell Wilson. It's a lot of Wilson carrying them. I'm not sure if I really like this spot for Seattle. Philadelphia really looked like they had New England last week, and then they were so bad late. I like when teams play bad on these national games. Everybody sees them. It's even more prevalent when it's on like a national TV game. And so you'll notice a couple of the teams that didn't play that great in the national TV spots I'll be playing this week. Philly's one of them. They lost, and we're going to go Philly minus the 1 against Seattle as the first play. Bears minus 6 against the Giants. Over-under in this game is 40.5. I'm staying away. I don't think the Bears should be favored by this much. I would lean to the Giants side, but this is not going to be a play for me here. Saints minus 10 against the Panthers. Over-under 47. The Panthers have really struggled as of late, and the Saints, they're quietly really good. They're just a really good team in a pretty deep NFC. Not going to be a play for me in here. How about the Browns as a 10.5-point favorite against Miami? Over-under in this game is 45.5. I've been a kind of a backer of the Browns a lot this year, someone who sticks up for the Browns quite a bit. That's way too much for the Browns to be favored over by anyone. Not going to be a play for me because I just can't really back Miami in the spot. I would lean Miami, though, if I had to. Pitt minus 6.5 at Cincy. If you can get 7, I'd really like to get 7 with Cincy. I'm fine with anything over 6 with Cincy. This is going to be a huge game for them. They're at home. They have not won. Divisional rival. They are going to do everything they can to win this game. I expect Cincy to play very, very well in here. Cincy's going to be one of my plays this week. Play number 2, Cincy. Look for plus 7 against Pitt. The Raiders minus 3 at the Jets. I'm going with the Jets here, plus the 3 at home. Raiders kind of feeling themselves right now. They got a big game coming up next week against Kansas City. That could be for the division. They got to travel here and go play the Jets, a Jets team that's defense has been playing very, very well the last few weeks. I like the Jets in here, plus the 3. Lions are minus 3.5 at the Redskins, over under 40.5 in that one. This is a stay away for me. I can't imagine I'm going to watch a whole lot of this game live on Sunday. This will probably be one I'm going to have to be taking in on the rewatch next week. Titans minus 3.5 versus the Jags. To me, that extra half is the key. At 2.5 or 3, I wouldn't play this game, but at 3.5, I'd lean towards the Jags in here, plus the 3.5 at the Titans. These are the games that I play against the Titans when they're favored and they look like they're supposed to win at home. They're a team I always like to play more as an underdog or off of a really bad week. Patriots are a 6.5-point favorite against the Cowboys. There's been some rumbling about Brady being banged up and possibly not playing in this game. If you could get it up to plus 7 with the Cowboys, I'd take it. 6.5, it's a stay away for me, although I do lean Cowboys, and I think the Cowboys could beat the Patriots here. As we've seen, the Pats' defense is good. Offensively, they've been very inconsistent throughout the year, and they have not looked great, and Brady was very upset even after the win last week. 49ers minus 3.5 against the Packers. Let me preface this with saying I think the 49ers are the better team. Friend out there of the show, Stan Ware, who big 49ers fan, and he was all over the 49ers having a monster year this year, and so I'm always going to take a little guff from Stan when the 49ers win because he was right on them. To me, the reason why I'm going to play against the 49ers in this spot is because of the injuries. I think they're really banged up, and that could be a major issue for them. Too many injuries for a team having to play against an Aaron Rodgers. Green Bay team that is very well-rounded. So I'm gonna play Green Bay in here because this is just a depleted San Francisco team. We don't know what we're going to get from any of their pass catchers. Their major offensive line with Staley out and with Ford out also. To me, that's just too much for this 49ers team to have to overcome. Very, very good team. I don't like this spot for them with the injuries that they're dealing with. And then the Ravens are minus 3.5 at the Rams. The Ravens have looked so good again. I think the Rams figured something out last week, and the 3.5 is the key. I could see this being a close game. We saw the Rams again not look great in a national game against the Bears last week. Just expecting the Rams to run the ball with Gurley. I think that was the key for them last week. Defensively, they've been a little bit better than you would expect that they've been, just like looking at their results. When you look and you dive into the numbers a little bit, their defense has been really good. It's been the offense that struggled, and maybe the Ravens just can outscore them, and the Rams can't go with them, up and down the field. I'm going to go Rams plus a 3.5 in here. So we're going to have 6 plays this week. Philly -1 against Seattle. Cincy, look around for +7. I'm fine with anything over +6 against Pittsburgh. The Jets +3 against the Raiders. The Jags +3.5 at the Titans. The Packers +3.5 at the 49ers. The Rams +3.5 versus the Ravens. And then the 2 other games I looked at, won't make them part of the plays, but I would lean Denver +3.5, and I would lean Tampa +4 in those spots. So best of luck this week in your NFL plays. Let's get into some horse racing for Del Mar Sunday. Before we do, want to mention one of the sponsors of That's What G Said podcast, CindyCarava.com, full-service realtor. I always like to mention Cindy when I start to talk horse racing. As many of you know, Jack Carava, trainer here in the Southern California circuit, and Cindy is the wife of Jack Carava. I've known Cindy for a decade. She can help you in anything you need in real estate, buying, selling, leasing. If you want to improve your home, she can connect you with the people you need to do so. All sorts of vendors, gardeners, landscapers. She can help you get pre-approved for a loan if need be. If you're just looking for some information on how much your home is worth, you want some market analysis, she can also do that for you. Covers all parts of the San Gabriel Valley, North San Diego County, Del Mar, Solana Beach, Rancho Santa Fe. You can find her on all sorts of social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You can find reviews about her on Yelp and Zillow. If you have any questions at all, shoot her an email, cindyc.realtor@gmail.com. Let her know that you heard about her on That's What G Said, and tell Cindy we said hello. Couple plays for Del Mar Sunday. Get your past performances out. November the 24th. There are 3 plays. The first one's going to be in race number 1. And we're going to go to the 7, Smoothie. Last time out, bad stumble. Then was up to second to press, but was in chase mode. Was chasing a horse named Traviesa who got the lead and was able to go wire to wire that day. Now, Smoothie's going to go second off the short break, slight turn back. First start off the claim for Miotti. I think this is going to be a really nice spot for Smoothie. Have a little more fitness today. Anything over 5-1, and make sure to bet to win, and make sure to use Smoothie in all of your exotics. Then flip to the 7th race, the number 6 French Getaway. This was a horse who I liked quite a bit a few years back. A horse who I thought was kind of like a Triple Crown Derby prep contender type horse. I thought would be involved in some of those races, and you can see he ran against some pretty nice horses. For whatever reason, couldn't quite put it all together at that point. And he took a while. Like most recently, he had to drop down to get the wake-up win last time out. I like this horse, though, because I know that he can compete against better. His only poor race on the grass was when he was behind multiple Grade 1 winner Beach Patrol. Otherwise, his turf form is excellent. He has won going 1.5 miles. I think if you get around 4-1 on French Getaway, must use in all of your exotics. You can hear Milo probably crying in the background as I record. I think he's getting ready to eat. So poor Stephanie in the other room taking care of Milo while I'm recording and finishing up working here. Okay, let's close things out in the 8th race at Del Mar with our third play of Sunday, the number 1 Ultimate Bango. His lone dirt race was in his debut, and it was a fine third. As far as the distance of this race is concerned, he has wins at 5, 5.5, 6.5, and a mile. It feels like 7 furlongs should be perfect for him. The rail concerns me a little bit, but he's pretty versatile with his running style. He could show multiple dimensions. I like the fact that his last 3 wins were against open company, facing Calbreds today. Look at the field that he hooked on September the 2nd. Couple starts back, he was behind 2 next out winners, Ronald R., who's won 3 in a row and just won the Lure Stakes last time out, and then Cleopatra Strike, who won the Grade 2 John Henry next out. I like the 1 Ultimate Bango in race number 8. So 3 plays for Del Mar Sunday. First race, the number 7 Smoothie. 7th race, the number 6 French Getaway. 8th race, the number 1 Ultimate Bango. Best of luck in all of your wagers. So I've been watching the morning show on Apple TV, the new streaming service. It's kind of like a soapy show. There's been 6 episodes so far. I'll give you some thoughts on episodes 1 through 5. It's based on, the Today Show, Matt Lauer. It's Me Too. Steve Carell is kind of like the Matt Lauer figure who gets caught up in, basically a Me Too scandal where he's been sleeping with a lot of different employees and co-workers, more so employees, but I guess people who worked under him and for him. And basically, it starts with Mitch Kessler, who's the Steve Carell character. He's just been fired by the network over allegations of sexual misconduct, and investigation. It was leaked to the New York Times. Jennifer Aniston, Reese Witherspoon are in here. It's very soapy. Reese Witherspoon's character is named Bradley Jackson. This is a reporter at a local news station, and she's kind of fiery. She's tough. We meet her, and we see her on basically a viral video where she's calling someone out at a protest. And the show I'm not going to say it's like the greatest show, but it's one of those shows that's just entertaining. I enjoy watching it. I like the major players in here. There's just something to it that kind of makes me continue to watch it. So you get a lot of references to things that are happening right now with Steve Carell and this caught up in this Me Too, and he's very frustrated because he doesn't think he did anything wrong. Feels like he's just kind of caught up in all the collateral damage. I love Billy Crudup's character. It's Corey Ellison. Billy Crudup is the actor who is in Almost Famous, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. I think he does an incredible job in here. He plays this kind of weird TV exec who's kind of creepy. Also, Jennifer Aniston is Alex Levy. The show's mainly about her. She's the main news anchor, and her and Steve Carell have been partners for years, and now she has to deal with all of the backlash after her partner has now been accused of all these allegations, and he's off the show, and now she is trying to find they're trying to find a new co-host to fill Steve Carell's seat, as this show has been struggling and the ratings have been going down anyway. So the network's kind of using this as maybe a way to kind of boost a lagging show, and what they end up doing is bringing in Bradley Jackson to be the co-host. So now we have Aniston and Witherspoon working together, and that's the gist of the show through the 5 episodes. Now we have Steve Carell dealing with the backlash of kind of being a scorned celebrity now who nobody wants to touch. Even the friends and people who are closest to him, his family, they want nothing to do with him anymore. We see the morning show crew trying to get the Bradley Jackson character, Reese Witherspoon character, ready to be an anchor. They have to do this in just a few days. and get her prepared to go on the air and be the co-anchor. And the show's like like the show that the morning show, which they work for, is very corny. They don't do hard-hitting pieces, and that's the type of reporter that Reese Witherspoon has been. So it's kind of a change for her, and she has to be very, very fluffy and very vanilla. We get a moment where the women are introducing Bradley Jackson, and very quickly she talks about having an abortion right on live TV. It gets very awkward, very uncomfortable. The show kind of bounces around quite a bit, and there's a lot of like Steve Carell doesn't have a whole hell of a lot to do in the show because he's not really in the inner workings of the network anymore. He's kind of on the outside. So mixed feelings for me. I like it. I'm going to continue to watch it. There are a lot of things that I kind of look at and scratch my head a little bit. Funny scene with Martin Short and Steve Carell where they're talking about like their two scorned, former celebs who have gotten caught up in this. And then the fifth episode. There's 6 episodes out now. We'll wait and talk a little bit about the sixth and maybe the next few over the next coming weeks. But just a weird duet. No one's gonna harm you, not while I'm around. In episode 5. So if you haven't watched the show yet, give it a check. It's on Apple TV. If you have, I'm curious to see what your thoughts, positive, negative, on the morning show. I'll continue to keep an eye on the show, and I'll report back. Perfect time, holiday time. Looking around for some gifts, something to get friends, family, significant others. I've got something for you, Sarah Candle Company. Visit sarahcandles.com. I'm a big candle guy myself. I know the people at Sarah Candle Company. I've known them my entire life. Their goal was to create a candle 100% natural, clean burning, and of the highest quality that everyone can enjoy. Some of the reasons why they are the best: all natural soy wax, free from the toxins found in paraffin wax, which is used by other leading brands. All natural soy wax actually holds your scents better, and it burns up to 50% longer than the traditional paraffin wax candle. 100% lead-free, cotton wicks, completely natural scents. Made in micro batches, hand-poured to ensure the highest quality. 100% locally sourced and handcrafted in the USA. They have 25 different scents available in 3 different sizes. Fragrance oils infused with natural essential oils. The best ingredients, quality packaging, affordable prices, longer burning, none of those toxins, carcinogens, or pollutants that are found in the paraffin wax. Like anything, you have to take good care of your candle, so they have instructions and details on how to keep your candle clean and ensure the perfect burn. Make sure to look on the bottom of your candle or on the website for instructions. You want to make sure to trim that wick, and you have to keep your candle, like always, in a safe spot. Created by people who love candles, they started out experimenting, trying to create the perfect candle, and that's blossomed into Sarah Candle Company. CERA Candle Company. Website, sarahcandles.com. You use that promo code GINO, you get 10% off of your purchase. Promo code GINO for 10% off your purchase. The WWE has a big weekend coming up. Saturday night, it is NXT War Games pay-per-view. And then Sunday night, they have the Survivor Series. And there's been a big invasion angle with the NXT wrestlers and taking over, quote unquote, Raw and SmackDown. And so I'm pretty excited for the Survivor Series card. We're going to have a women's elimination match with 5 NXT women versus 5 Raw women versus 5 SmackDown women. 15 in the match. NXT is going to have Rhea Ripley, Toni Storm, Mia Yim, Candice LeRae, and Tegan Nox. Really cool to see, someone like Candice LeRae, who I've announced a few times on the independent scene, up on a WWE pay-per-view. Battling it out with Charlotte Flair, Natalya, Asuka, Kairi Sane, and Sarah Logan as the Raw team. And the SmackDown team, Sasha Banks, Carmella, Dana Brooke, Lacey Evans, and Nikki Cross. There will likely be a cruiserweight title match on the kickoff show. It looks like it's going to be Lio Rush versus Garza. mean, that'll be a good match. There'll be a lot of good action there. And there's probably going to be another elimination match of some sort, maybe with the tags or mid-card acts, someone like Gallows, Anderson, Street Profits, Humberto Carrillo, Cesaro, Lucha House Party, Rude, Ziggler, the B Team are not on this card. Heavy Machinery. The men's elimination match will be from Raw, Seth Rollins, Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, Drew McIntyre, and Ricochet. And then from SmackDown, Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, King Baron Corbin, Mustafa Ali, and Shorty G, Chad Gable. We don't know the NXT team yet. We know that Adam Cole won't be on that team because he's going to be defending the NXT title at the WWE Survivor Series. He's going to face the winner of Killian Dane, Damian Priest, and Pete Dunne, who have a match at NXT Ward Games to determine who will face Adam Cole at Survivor Series. Men's tag is going to be the Viking Raiders versus the New Day versus the Undisputed Era. How about the men's mid-card triple threat? AJ Styles versus Nakamura versus Roderick Strong. So the U.S. champ versus the IC champ versus the North American champ. We have Becky Lynch versus Shayna Baszler versus Bayley in the women's champ triple threat. Brock Lesnar versus Rey Mysterio in a no DQ. And then The Fiend versus Daniel Bryan to close things out. On paper, this is an excellent, excellent card. So Sunday, make sure to tune in. WWE Survivor Series. We'll recap the show next week. As I mentioned, wanted to try to get this show in quick so we could just get you some plays for the weekend, for Del Mar, for football, and get a little NBA discussion in there, as well as the WWE preview. Hope you enjoyed this episode of That's What G Said podcast. We'll be back next week with a couple episodes, and we'll continue to roll through this awesome time in the world of sports. We'll start talking some college basketball coming up soon, and we'll be bringing in some guests over the next few weeks. We haven't had too many guests as of late. It was kind of hard to set anything up over the last month or so with not knowing as far as when Milo was going to come, playing it by ear. So now, as far as setting a schedule, things will be a little easier. So we'll start pumping in those guests again in the next week or so here. Thanks again, folks. Joey, close it out.